So that happened. Uh, watching back this, I still, I don't, I, I don't know. Anyway, so today's video, I wanted to discuss a couple of things, mainly how to get better in ranked and how to get better in general. One of the biggest bits of advice I can give you is to focus on one thing that you feel that you're doing wrong and try and limit as many factors as possible that you have to think about. So just focus on that one thing. Don't worry about anything else, just focus on that one thing. That's the best bit of advice I can give you. If you're struggling during the laning phase, just focus on the laning phase. If you're struggling dying during late game team fights, just focus on late game team fights. Record your gameplay, review it back, and try and understand what you're doing wrong. Moving on from that, the other bit of advice I can give you is try not to blame other people and just focus on you. At the same time, be aware that the mentality of if I did this, this would have happened is really, really bad. You want to focus on why you did that thing. If you miss an ability, that's fine. If you screwed up, that's fine. You just want to accept that that's happened. Now you move on to the next bit of the game. There's nothing you can really do. You can't rewind time. You can't do things differently until next time. And then maybe it will go differently. Just make sure that you're focusing on what you're doing and why you're doing it. With that out of the way, it's now time to talk about the gameplay and why I've selected all of these clips. So, these clips are basically from one game, and they are me trying to highlight bad positioning and bad practice in general. You can honestly get away with a lot of really, really, really sloppy play in ranked and casuals, and I mean like horrendously sloppy. People will not punish you. You can be out of position all the time, but there's a couple things that I've noticed playing ranked, in which players, what they will do is they will do the same thing over and over again, and they will not learn from it. And it's not a case of just like minor sloppiness, it's consistent sloppiness, and that will cost you games. It really will. So let's talk about these clips, shall we? Some of them I have made longer, some of them I haven't. So some of these clips are from the early game, some of them are from the mid game, and some of them are from the late game. And it's time to talk about positioning at all three stages of the game. So early game, your main goal in pretty much every single role is to be safe and farm. So you want to make sure that you are positioning yourself so that you are doing that. Mid game starts to turn into a 3 versus 3, so you want to make sure that you're staying safe while you're doing damage if you're playing a damage class, or that you are playing, say, a supporting class or a frontline class, say for example solo or support. You want to make sure that your teammates are staying safe and are getting pill, crowd control, whatever, but they are staying safe. Then the late game, it basically transitions from a 3 versus 3 to a 5 versus 3, so that all your damage classes, they want to stay safe and they want to be doing damage to anything that's in front of them, and they want to be protected. That is the basics. That is a fundamental thing that you're going to have to learn, and that is something that a lot of players get wrong. And there's a lot of sloppy play that happens around the 3 versus 3 and the late stages of the game. But you want to make sure that you're staying safe. That's your main goal, especially if you're playing mid or the carry role. Your main goal is to do damage and stay safe and get objectives. That's it. There's nothing difficult about that. If you are finding yourself getting picked off, you need to focus on where you're positioning yourself and how you're positioning. Now, this is why there's a lot of characters that are pub stompy, and they do really, really well because they basically abuse the fact that people have sloppy positioning, and they will basically just eat you for breakfast and lunch and just keep eating you like a snack. And that's it. There's nothing really else to say there. So you may have noticed from this gameplay that there is a certain player that is positioning themselves really badly. I hope you've noticed that. You also may have noticed as well that I have somewhat started to tilt and my positioning and play is not stellar. That's fine. But you will notice that in this clip that the Vulcan is out of position because he's pretty much alone. The King Arthur has gone to the back and is fighting the Ares. The King Arthur honestly should be positioning himself right next to the Vulcan. Instead, the Vulcan moved up to try and do damage, but at that point he was out of position, so he was dead. And here is a similar story but in reverse, where the Scylla has decided to push up, and I believe she uses her escape, and then she goes back in. No, she probably already used it. But here this is pretty much a 4 versus 3. And this is where, like, I'm going wrong, for anyone who's curious. I'm going on the tank, not going on the back line. This is a mistake on my part. Pretty easy. And here is an even bigger mistake. I should have not went to Thanatos. Yeah, this game somewhat annoyed me, if I'm being honest with you. My main goal in terms of my positioning right now is to basically try as a jungler to try and kill the damage character. So you can see in these much better team fights, I'm trying to go on people that are in front of me that are dealing damage. So it's going to be the Sonos, the Vulcan, and the Thanatos. Unfortunately, it's Thanatos, and he does get the better of me in a couple of these clips. He's very difficult to fight. Scylla, instead of staying near me and doing damage, decides to just position herself alone in the jungle, and yeah, we're just, yeah, yeah. Unfortunately, I can't break down all of these team fights, but I can break down this one because it does highlight something quite well. So here is a choice that I've made, which is to go on the Vulcan. Now, I know the Vulcan doesn't have beads. My plan here is basically to bully the Vulcan and get as many abilities as I can. The rest of my team have decided to follow me, and they've decided to engage. Watch where people are in this fight. The Bellona has taken a very long time. She kept 2 people busy, which is the Sonos and the King Arthur, but was way too late to that fight. My Scylla aggressively dashed, and the Hachiman pushed up way too far. As a result, they both died really quickly. So let's watch that fight again. So here, you can see the Bellona is currently in the jungle. She's healthy, she's fine, she's in the jungle, she's currently playing with King Arthur. The Sonos is close by. You can see we've ordered it, so we know exactly where they are. I'm going on the Vulcan. I have not used Blink. I've not used my ultimate. This is basically me trying to get what I can from the Vulcan and then allow me to basically dive him in a couple more seconds. So my plan here is very simple. I want to hit the Vulcan in about the next 30 to a minute and kill him with his relics and his ult down. That's my plan. Doesn't go to plan though. Watch. Bellona again is still in the jungle. Scylla has aggressively dashed. Hachiman is now pushing up. Hachiman is now next to the Ares. The Scylla is further in front of me at this point. The King Arthur and the Sonos are now entering in the fight. The Bellona has taken the very, very slow route, and instead of following them through the jungle, she has decided to take the much safer path, which is much slower at this stage of the game, even though she knew where they were going. The Scylla is at the front of the team fight and is very aggressively positioned. Hachiman gets dived and dies by the King Arthur and the Thanatos. Me and the Bellona are now at the front. The Scylla was at the front, but unfortunately has, well, she's dead now. This fight is not going well. It's basically me, Bellona, and Ares. That's it. Everybody else has died. The entire damage has just been wiped out. The reason why I wanted to highlight that clip is that is an example there of something that a lot of players do, especially during late game team fights and even during the 3 versus 3 in the middle stages of the game, and that is they will position themselves really offensively as a damage character that needs to stay alive during team fights. Your main goal in the mid lane and the carry role is to do damage to whatever's in front of you and to do it safely. That's it. You cannot be using your escape as an engage with those characters. You have to use it as an escape. This is where a lot of players go wrong with Giannis because they seem to think that his portal is basically his engage. It isn't. Giannis only has 1 damaging ability and he has 2 engages. That's it. Unfortunately, I will admit, and I will hold my hands up, this game has somewhat tilted me and annoyed me. So you will see that I start to play sloppy. And you will also see as well that they're not really playing that well either. They're playing quite sloppy in regards to their, well, where they're putting themselves on the map. It's important to comprehend that positioning is important in Smite. And it is important. But you can get away with a lot of bad play. Like, a lot of bad play. And you can also abuse a lot of bad play. This is why certain characters like Arachne, Kali, and Loki are really good. And here, this is me breaking a rule that I have in the back of my mind, because at this stage of the game I'm pretty annoyed, if I'm being honest with you, and that is a 10-second rule. If I can't get a kill in 10 seconds, just bail out. Here, I'm not happy. Like, I'll be honest with you, I'm not happy. I'm not having a very fun game, very fun time either. So yeah. Now I was going to slow down all the fights, and do a play-by-play, but honestly, I feel like that really isn't needed. You can somewhat get, you can somewhat understand, I hope, even watching at full speed, normal speed, what's going wrong. And here is pretty much the final team fight. Notice again, the Scylla is being very aggressive with her positioning. Very aggressive. At this stage though, the Bellona is also being very aggressive too. The Ares is, the Hachiman is staying towards the back. He is doing damage. He does fully commit his ult though, which now puts him at the front and unfortunately in danger range. Yeah. One of the common mistakes that people make is that they will pick mobile characters and they will do stuff like that and they will put themselves out of position. Oddly enough, I also recommend that you do play those characters because it allows you to make those mistakes and get out of jail sometimes. But you have to be aware that it's a get out of jail free card sometimes, and you have to be smart about what you're doing. You can't randomly be ulting towards the back line because you're going to die. So thank you for watching. I will see you again next time. And this was just unfortunate. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and yeah.